Let's bring in retired FBI agent and the founder of Sierra One Consulting, Rob D'Amico. Rob, great to see you. As authorities try and figure out whether or not these two are connected, what questions do you still have that maybe those of us that aren't in law enforcement would not think to ask?
You're going to start looking at a timeline. When the truck was rented, if it puts it way before at other events, you can then look at, okay, if he left before the New Orleans happened, then it has to be coordinated if there was any coordination to it. But I think things may be stemming back to in December, the attacks in Germany at the Christmas parades. And I think those may be triggering events. They might not be something that was coordinated and planned across the world, so to speak, but it gave people idea, like, I want to do something, and that's an idea. But they're also going to start looking at all these chats and these like Discord and Telegram groups. Was that rental car company ever mentioned as a way to easily rent cars? Because, and then they can start looking at, it's not just a coincidence they both rented it from there, maybe. Maybe that was something that ISIS put out, like if you need a rental car and you don't have to go through as much scrutiny, you can use this company. So then they're going to go back and start looking at that. Both prior military, did they ever serve together? Were they ever in some chat group for veterans that were having issues or problems or anything like that? They're going to try to put a connection between their social media, their phones, and every other account that they have to see if these two ever talk to each other in any way possible.
But Rob, does it even matter if they ever spoke to each other, if they were possibly a part of this cell? I mean, they could have just not even known each other. And go on.
Yeah, absolutely not. It doesn't matter. It could be like they both got radicalized at the same time. And if they're doing it under ISIS, we don't have any proof right now that the Cybertruck had any connection like the ISIS flag. They're taking all his electronics. They're going to go search wherever he was living. They're going to pull all that stuff out to see if there's any connection. And even if there's not, there still may be something in there that ties them to this bigger plot. And that's what ISIS was known for. I always compared Al Qaeda to like IBM, very centralized control that you had to get approval from the top. ISIS is like Uber. You slap a sticker on your car and you're doing it in the name of ISIS. And that's what they like. They like people just to do it on their own. They know like plans get thwarted because people talk. Just do it on your own and we'll take credit for it. And that's, again, what they're known for.
And that's what makes it so tough to prevent these lone wolves that basically, like you said, just slap the ISIS sticker on and there they go. One topic we really haven't focused on too much in the show, but I think we need to right now, is the IEDs that were apparently planted throughout New Orleans. David Spunt, our colleague, reporting that 4 suspects were originally questioned, 3 men, 1 woman. Authorities are not ruling anything out, though, even though they released those individuals, said they were not involved, and that they may go back to those people for more information if they believe they have it. Is that standard protocol? Because that jumped off the page to me as odd as we try to find out who else helped this New Orleans suspect create this carnage.
Well, that was the biggest thing when they first came out and said that they thought he had help, and it was because these videos that people were seeing where IEDs were placed. And then they said, oh, those people weren't involved. And I said, well, if the deceased subject didn't place those IEDs, somebody did, and they're going to have to figure out how to get to it. So also, what video were they watching that these people were around where the IEDs were? Do they have further video? Again, trying to get a timeline of when these IEDs were in place. And they're going to have to look at the timeline when the subject arrived in New Orleans, try to get his pattern, get all this video to start looking at this, because if he didn't do it, somebody did.
Right. I mean, there's a lot to unpack with this. There's a lot of connections that can be made. There's, a speculation at least. But when you talk about the IEDs and they talk to these people that could have possibly, they were suspects or potential suspects at one point, and now they're not. That doesn't make me feel very good as far as the safety and the FBI really having a good grasp on what's going on. It's like, oh, we might go back to them, we might not. What could possibly happen in that time?
Rob D'Amico, we appreciate your time and insight as always. Thank you, sir.